Okay, so what I did here is I changed out my axle. It took me forever to get this thing off. Okay, I heard a slide hammer works. I heard a number of things. Anyways, what happened is the inside here was wrecked at the joint. I got it out, and then when I pulled this out, it pulled that out, that part of the axle. Then this center part, well, that was blocking how I was going to get to these things, the bearing bracket, and I couldn't get to one of these bolts here, so I sawed that off because I borrowed, I'll show you, I borrowed a slide hammer from AutoZone, and I borrowed this piece, the front wheel drive axle puller adapter. Now it should have worked, but it didn't. So anyhow, so I finally used a Sawzall with a Diablo carbide cutting blade. Then this thing was the problem. It was frozen in this bracket here, like this. Okay, and I had a hard time getting, without cutting this off, I really had a hard time getting to that with the tools I had. The other bolts, the other two bolts, this one and that one, I could get to, but other than that I couldn't. So I cut this thing off, got to the bolts, got the bolts off, then discovered that more than the case wasn't going to have a easy time, so it was frozen in there. I tried to bang it off, but it couldn't. Anyhow, I cut through this, and then ended up taking this out, and it was stuck in the bracket, and so I just held the bracket and popped it out. Well, the other way. I popped it out after about 10 or 15 hits. That thing popped out, and I just pulled this out by hand. And some of these CV axles, I guess, have a ring right there. In the Toyota Sienna 2007, it doesn't. So anyhow, I didn't do any damage to the seal. And I don't know if you can see in there or not. Yeah, maybe you can. Right there. Anyways, I got it out. And in the meantime, I changed out my inner tie rod and boot and the stabilizer bar here. And I'm going to go to AutoZone real quick and get a new tie rod end and a lower ball joint and get it done. And then maybe do an oil change real quick and get it done. And then it will have taken me a couple days to do this because I haven't had time to get to work. But anyways, you see how I did it. My suggestion to anyone that's doing this is, if you can't get it out with a slide hammer, I wouldn't even go a slide hammer out. If you can't pull it out, if you can't pull this out and knock it out and tap it out, these things get stuck pretty good. But I have 140 some thousand miles on this van, so it's had some time. So just make it easy on your life. Just get under there and see. Here's how I have it. See it? So I don't have a lift, so it's harder, and I'm fat. Well, not that fat, but I'm fat. So it's tough to get under there, and if you're like me, I don't want to be under my vehicle longer than I have to. So my guess is get the Sawzall, get those blades, get a couple extra batteries, because it took me about 4 or 5 times recharging my batteries to get through this. Check that steel out right there. And then when you look at that steel. That took me a couple days because I didn't have much time. So to just get at it, get done. If it's stuck in there, This is the passenger side, by the way. My suggestion is get the sawzall. Just cut that sucker out. And anyways, I hope you have success and greater success. Maybe you have some suggestions. But WD-40 was not my friend.